Welcome to Safety Shorts. Whether you're listening in for a toolbox talk or just tuning in to see what's new and reflect on safety, we hope our episodes are the perfect bite-sized portion to fit in your day. From this series, you can expect to hear about safety tips and best practices, learn about new ideas, and most of all, listen to safety stories from our industry guests and hear about their lessons learned.
Hi, I'm Emily Hargrove, Director of Occupational Health and Safety for NSSGA. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Safety Shorts. In the world of safety and health, one of our constant challenges is keeping training fresh, finding new ways to engage, to connect, and to truly hold attention while we deliver critical information. Today, I'm joined by someone who's doing exactly that. Cyrus Kezar is the safety manager for L.G. Everist, and he's reimagined what annual refresher training can look like. Cyrus, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of share what we've been working on. So as you mentioned, I do serve as the safety manager for L.G. Everist and its subsidiaries. We do have Ace Ready Mix, Merlin Royce Paving, and the D&I Railroad that fall under the L.G. Everist family of owned companies. I do want to kind of take a minute to do a shameless plug here and make note that we are in the process of celebrating our 150th year in the mining and construction materials industry. So I think that's a very rare accomplishment that very few family-owned businesses can tout. So I think that's a big deal for us this year and something I wanted to share with everybody.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on 150 years. It's incredible. And a century and a half in mining means a long history of tackling challenges, and especially in safety and health, I imagine.
It really does. And as I kind of rolled into my third year as safety manager, I started reflecting on our MSHA annual refresher training. And it's something that almost every safety manager struggles with, is trying to keep it fresh, trying to keep it engaging. So for the previous 2 years, I used a hybrid approach, a little bit of PowerPoint presentation mixed in with videos. And frankly, on paper, it checked all the boxes. The crews even said, it's pretty good training. But if you looked at their faces as we were going through the training, it kind of told a different story. Early in my career, I was told that to be an effective safety champion, you have to meet people where they are. And when I reviewed our refresher program, I realized we might not be doing that to its fullest potential. So our workforce, it spans multiple generations, and each generation has a different learning style and expectations. So we kind of broke that down, and much of our traditional safety training was designed with baby boomers and Gen X in mind, which I think is safe to say that most trainings are geared towards those generations. The generations that saw safety really gain momentum in the 90s and 2000s, so that's where that emphasis was put. But today's workforce, we need to start including millennials and Gen Z as well and what their training needs are, because they engage completely different. So if we wanted retention, participation, and real impact, we had to evolve.
That's such a real challenge, balancing different learning preferences while still covering required material. So how did you start rethinking your program?
So we started, Emily, by taking a snapshot of our team by age, years of service, and our past incidents. We were capturing some of our team members, but our program needed that refresh. So taking the adage that served me well over the years, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, you just need to be surrounded by them. And I recruited a representative group across all of our generations from our teams and asked them to help make that training in a way that it doesn't suck, not to be crude. So we worked as a group to bring everything back to the basics and make training interactive and hands-on. We kept core presentations, elements, but then we also changed the delivery. We broke everyone into a predetermined group that would rotate through 6 interactive mine safety stations. And those 6 different groups are confined space. We walked them through the classification process. Hey, this is what makes it a confined space. We also did real life scenarios. We had a mocked up homemade screen deck that we emulated a fire and had to pull somebody out and had everybody kind of go through all the steps. We had a lockout tagout station, which was completely hands-on and interactive, to where we ran through scenarios on, locking out different feeders that we're going to find throughout the sites. And we had a light system to where it would, it'd be red if it wasn't completely isolated, and it would show green if it was. We did a pre-op and workplace examination. We had skid steers set up. All the groups went through and identified certain things that were deficient on the pre-op examination on the skid steer, and what we needed to do, as far as making sure we have a complete cycle of maintenance and getting all those items corrected. And then as far as workplace exams, I built a diorama that represented the west end of one of our quarries, and we had set items that the groups would identify, and they worked as a team together to figure out, okay, this stockpile here on this diorama is undercut. So this is what we need to do. These are the tools that we need to make this area safe before people can go in there and work. Then we also had a fall protection, because a lot of our maintenance work, as most are aware, fall protection plays a big part in that. So we kind of went over the A, B, C's, and D's of fall protection by inspecting, using, and installing different types of anchorages, body harnesses, connectors, and then we also covered descent and rescue. That's one of the things I feel that we really need to emphasize is okay, we fell, what are we going to do now? So we looked for volunteers, and we hoisted some of the folks up in their harnesses, and we showed them how to deploy their rescue straps and how to preserve that time if you do find yourself in a fall. And a lot of us across the industry, silica training is a very, very big thing. It's definitely on the forefront. So we had a safety training station where we went over our silica sampling equipment, our noise dosimeters. We went over how to prevent silica exposures to the best of our abilities. We talked about different engineering controls to mitigate the hazards. A lot of frontline worker behavior, as far as cleanliness, housekeeping, making sure that we're swapping out clothes, the little things that can really help you when it comes to trying to manage silica hazards. And then that last station, we wrapped everything up with a Part 46 MSHA trivia, where we quizzed everybody on miners' rights and MSHA standards and, what's required and what's the right thing to do.
Going from sitting and listening to PowerPoints to getting hands-on and interactive with refresher training had to have had an impact. What kind of feedback did you receive on all of this?
As any safety trainer is aware, feedback is a gift. And
yes.
We got some outstanding feedback. Everybody was excited to be a part of the program. They weren't just sitting there getting killed death by PowerPoint. Another thing that's important to me is at the end of the day, our frontline workers, they're the ones cooking supper. They should have a say in the groceries. So at the end of the training, we had them scan a QR code and fill out a survey and say, hey, what would you like to see for next year? Because at the end of the day, they're my customer base. They're the ones I work for. So we need to set it up for them. And we got some outstanding feedback from our folks out in the workforce that, hey, this is what we'd like to see next year. These are some of the real world problems that we come up against. How can we make this interactive for next year's MSHA refresher? So I couldn't be happier with the feedback that we've gotten from all of our team members.
That's fantastic and a really powerful takeaway. Thank you so much for sharing this approach. I think it's a great reminder that innovation and safety and getting folks engaged doesn't always mean new technology or huge changes. Sometimes it just means rethinking how we connect with people. So thank you. Thank you for that. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of Safety Shorts. Until next time, stay safe.